G'day everyone, Damien here again. Now, a question I often get is, how important is yield to get on a property, i.e. rental yield? What percentage of the property's value do we get back every year in rent? That's a rental yield. Now, you find a lot of investors, once they have maybe 2 properties, they then start worrying about cash flow because, if you're getting a 90% loan to buy a property, even at an 80% loan, the costs of that loan are quite high, and often you run out of spare cash, and then next thing you know, you're not going out to dinner anymore, you're not taking holidays anymore, and you think, oh, how am I supposed to build this empire of properties when cash flow is grinding me? So the immediate response is to go and look for properties that have a higher yield. Now, those properties are usually found in the lower end of the market, and so people go looking for them and they buy the old cheapies that get a higher rent versus their value, and they think they're being clever, but then they end up not getting ahead either. And there's a key reason why. Yes, the golden rules of property investment are buy where it's booming, so you'll get capital growth, and make sure your properties pay for themselves. But there's actually 9 factors, 9 that go into whether a property will pay for itself, not just the rental yield. Rent is one, and that is important, and you should try and get a respectable yield, but you must consider the rest. So what are they? Well, it's very simple. If you're working out the cash flow of a property, just get a bit of paper, draw a line down the centre, income and expenses. So on the income side, there's actually 2 forms of income you get from a property. The first is the rent, which is the obvious one, but don't forget the tax return as well. And some properties will give you a better tax return than others, and it needs to be considered. On the right hand side of the page, you'll have expenses. And then you need to think of all of those expenses because they all affect ultimately how much money is left in your bank account. Now, the first one is loan repayments, and that's why a lot of property investors will go interest-only loans instead of principal and interest in order to reduce their cash flow so they can own more. The second is going to be body corporate fees. Now, body corporate fees apply for apartments and townhouses. I don't like apartments and townhouses, and I try and avoid body corporate fees wherever I can as a result. So if you just buy houses, you won't have body corporate fees, helps your cash flow. Then you've got council rates, can't generally avoid that. Management fees, you should not cut back on management fees. You should find good rental managers and pay them what they're worth, so you're their number 1 priority, not their last priority. Because if you're their last priority, when you need a tenant, it's going to be weeks and weeks and weeks before you get one, and then you're just going to lose money anyway. So rental management. Then you've also got insurance. Don't compromise on insurance. About $1,000 a year per property, $600 for building and $400 for landlords. Don't skimp on the landlord's insurance. But then we've also got maintenance, and maintenance can be the killer for a lot of people who buy in the low end of the market where there's older houses that have the higher yield. They think they're being really clever. They go, oh look, I got a 6 or 7% yield in the lower end of the market. But then they have to start paying their maintenance bill, and it's $5 grand a year, 10 grand a year. First it's the carpets, then it's the air conditioning, then it's repainting, then it's re-stumping, then it's anti-termite works. It's all sorts of things that keep going. The older a house is, the more maintenance it's got. So it's a false economy. You're trying to get the high yield, but then you spend it all on maintenance. And then the last factor that we need to consider is depreciation, which I call the secret sauce of property investing, because the good thing about depreciation is you get to claim it on tax, but no money actually leaves your bank account. So from a taxation perspective, you get, a brand new 4-bedroom home will get you about 15 grand in tax in the first year using the diminishing value method. So you get to claim 15 grand on tax, get a third of it back, that's 5 grand. That's $100 a week that you weren't getting. You get an old house, no depreciation. You get an old house, you get high maintenance costs. So, it's a false economy to chase yield. You need to look at the whole picture. 9 factors: rent, tax return, body corporate fees, loan repayments, rates, insurance, maintenance, rental management, and depreciation. Remember that, and you'll do well. That's it for me today. Cheers.